Disclaimer: before we delve in, I want to clarify that this discussion is not meant to paint Diddy as innocent or to sympathize with him regarding any of the serious allegations he faces. Rather, we're using him as an example to illustrate how losing control or not respecting the power and fortune that comes with fame can lead someone down a dark path. Introduction. Hey everyone, it's your boy Leon from Leon Talks TV. Today I want to talk about the complex relationship between money, power and fame. While we often dream of having wealth and success, it's important to remember that these things can sometimes lead us down a dark path. I'll share some thoughts on how fame and fortune can affect lives using examples like Diddy, and also reflect on a personal experience I had playing the lottery. So let's delve in. Chapter 1: Understanding the dark side of money and fame. Is money the root of all evil? When you think about it, the combination of wealth, power, and fame can lead people down a dark path. If you're not prepared for the level of success that comes with money and status, it can consume you. Without self-control, you can become a victim of your own success, which is why money can be frightening. You see, we all aspire to have some wealth in our lives. But it's interesting to reflect on how Diddy has been famous for over 30 years. I mean, he started gaining recognition in the mid-90s. And some people viewed him as Biggie's sidekick back in the days, or Biggie's hype man, even though he was actually the boss and CEO. But he really blew up after Biggie passed away in '97. And when he made the tribute song, I'll Be Missing You, for Biggie. And ever since then, his career and stardom took off. And since then, he has been a major celebrity in hip hop. With the fame and fortune, he likely had access to some of the most beautiful women in the world and experienced a lot. You can imagine, right? When you have that kind of money and wealth, you're basically a kid in a candy store that has all the sweets to hand. However, this kind of access can lead to a point where traditional intimacy no longer satisfies you, pushing some to seek extreme pleasurable experiences, which can be dangerous and lead you down to a dark path. It's also fascinating to remember that even in his 50s, you can imagine at the height and the early stages of Diddy's career, when he first blew up, people forget that Diddy was once considered very attractive by women. Women used to say he was good looking. So which brings the fact that with the fame, the money, and the looks, and the access to women, that kind of attention can influence how one navigates relationship and intimacy, and how you can get to the point of having so much in abundance and repetitive and consumption of women and intimacy can lead to experimental behavior, which can lead you down a dark hole that you cannot climb back out of. So it's essential to remain level-headed and not get lost in the world of wealth and fame, as easy access to women can lead to unhealthy behaviors. When you can't find satisfaction in normal experiences, it can take you to dark and extreme places, which is quite concerning. Chapter 2: The Lottery Dream. What if? You know, it's funny. I have a story to share and it makes me reflect on money. One time, I thought luck was a bit on my side, so I decided to play the lottery. So in the UK, we play this lottery where you have to match 6 numbers to win the jackpot. So I ended up actually getting 4 numbers right, just missing 2 numbers from the jackpot. And the jackpot was about £15 million. And I remember thinking, wow, 50 million at my fingertips, just handed to me without having to work for it. It made me wonder, what if I really won that 50 million? What would I do once I had it? How would I stay motivated? It felt like I would have completed life and there would be nothing to be left to achieve. You see, with 50 million, I wouldn't need to run a business or worry about making the money. I could just chill and enjoy my wealth, so to speak. And, as you do, you start dreaming about all the things I could do with that kind of money. I mean, traveling to places like, for instance, maybe Brazil, for example, and being with some of the most beautiful Brazilian women, hiring yachts, sipping champagne with exotic women, and being with some of the most beautiful women on earth, living that La Vida Loca lifestyle. The funny thing is, my life was already pretty hectic back then. And this was around 10 years ago, probably even a bit more than that. And the funny thing is, I wasn't even rich, but I was partying every weekend, drinking from Friday to Sunday and living like a madman. And I didn't even have 15 million pounds. So now imagine me having 15 million pounds, drinking and having unlimited access to money and women. And then on top of that, if you're feeling that you have to entertain women, what's that going to involve? It's going to involve a lot more alcohol and a lot more certain lifestyles of luxurious lifestyles, which also brings alcohol, right? So I can only imagine how chaotic my life would have been if I had suddenly gained 15 million pounds without having to actually work for it or appreciate the money from the hard work and grind and the longevity of putting in so much effort to make that kind of money when it's just literally handed to you overnight. So it really made me realize that it could have led to my destruction, given that I was already tempted by the rock style lifestyle. Chapter 3: Psychological Effects of Sudden Wealth. You know, it's interesting to reflect on how the idea of suddenly coming into large sum of money can impact someone's psychological. When I played the lottery and got so close to winning that 15 million, made me think deeply about what that kind of wealth really means. Winning such a significant amount could feel like a dream come true, right? But then I started to wonder what happens next. If I suddenly had all that money, how would I stay motivated? It's like I would feel I had already accomplished everything I set out to do. That mindset can be dangerous when you have so much money and no pressing goals. It might lead to a sense of emptiness or even boredom. I began to fantasize about the lifestyle I could lead, traveling, partying, and being surrounded by beautiful women. But looking back, I realized my life was already pretty chaotic. I was living for that weekend, partying hard, and indulging in that carefree lifestyle. If I had gained 15 million at that time, it could have pushed me further into the wild lifestyle, potentially leading to a destructive behavior. Psychologically, having access to such wealth can create a false sense of security and invincibility. It can encourage risky behaviors and make it easier to lose touch with reality. People might think they can do anything without facing consequences, which can lead to poor decision making. Chapter 4: The Trap of Power and Entitlement. So, let's talk about how money, fame, and power can sometimes lead people down a dark path. When someone becomes very wealthy or famous, they can start to feel invincible and entitled. This feeling can make them act in selfish ways, thinking the rules don't apply to them. So in the case of Diddy, for example, he's been in the spotlight for a long time. And with that fame and fortune, he has access to a lifestyle that many people dream of. But this kind of power can change how someone behaves. It can make them act in ways that are not just, and they may even tell others how to live while not following those rules themselves. This is what we call hypocrisy. It's interesting to consider how Diddy's arrogance and sense of being untouchable may have played a role in his situation with Cassie. You see, she wrote a tell-all book about her experience with him and sent it to his team, hoping for his feedback. However, he chose to ignore and dismiss her concerns. Eventually, Cassie got fed up and decided to take actions by publicly filing a lawsuit against him. This wasn't even done quietly, and it forced Diddy to settle the case by paying her $20 million just after the 2 days the lawsuit was filed. But this settlement ended up putting him on the radar of federal authorities. By paying Cassie to close the case, he made the feds open the door to a criminal investigation. Now Diddy, on top of the $20 million he settled with Cassie, now has to pay millions upon millions of dollars in legal fees because he's found himself facing serious legal challenges, potentially including life in prison. All of this could have been avoided if he had taken Cassie's situation seriously. Instead of letting his power and arrogance cloud his judgment, it's a reminder that ignoring problems and acting with entitlement can lead to significant consequences. Chapter 5: Diddy, a case study in fame and consequences. When you have so much money and power, it can be addictive. Some people will do anything to keep their status, which can lead to favoritism or even corruption. For Diddy, The pressure to maintain his place at the top may have influenced his choices and actions, which can lead to various allegations against him. Extreme wealth can also make it harder for someone to feel empathy for others. They might become more focused on their own needs and less accountable for their actions. This can lead to poor decisions, isolation, and ultimately personal downfall. Conclusion. In Diddy's case, while he may enjoy the perks of his fame, the challenges and the allegations he faces show that this lifestyle can come at a cost. It's a reminder that while money and power can bring success, they can also create a dangerous environment if not handled with care and responsibility. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave it on that note. If you like this video, please make sure to share and subscribe. On that note, salute. See you later.